All right, all right. Welcome to Exposing Sierra Leone, your weekly dive into the issues, news, and people shaping Sierra Leone and the diaspora. Each week, as much as possible, you can join us as we engage with professionals, journalists, and various guests, or sometimes just the two of us, to explore ways to propel our country forward. From in-depth discussions to enlightening interviews, we're here to uncover the stories that matter most, and sometimes to just present to you all the businesses that we think are killing it. So tune in and be part of the conversation as we work together to make a positive impact on Sierra Leone's future. So before we get into today's topics, I would like to do some introductions. So I'll turn it over to my co-host before I introduce myself.
Hey guys, what's up? My name is Admire. I am the founder of, I'm sorry. I am the founder of the Sierra Leoneans Killing It page, where we post Sierra Leoneans who are positively killing it in our community. I'm also a licensed braider based in Houston, Texas. So if you or anyone you know in the Houston area needs braids, be sure to check me out. And now I'm gonna turn it back over to you.
Hey guys, I'm Joe Hatagwa. I am the founder of Authentic African. That platform is meant to bridge the gap between Africans living on the continent and living in the diaspora, whether you were born, moved, foundational Black American, whatever kind of American you are that comes from the continent of Africa at some point in time in the past. My goal is to bridge the gap between those two groups. I also help people move, visit, and or invest in land or start businesses on the continent of Africa, mostly focusing on Sierra Leone and Ghana as well. So I am a Sierra Leonean American born in the United States, but I am a dual citizen. So that is what, and I also spent a year living in Sierra Leone and two and a half years prior to that living in Ghana. All right. So with that, we like to try to spend some time weekly talking through sometimes the news, as I mentioned earlier. In this case, we're going to be highlighting businesses. If you are watching and you'd like your business to be highlighted, definitely let us know. We'll be more than happy to call your business out. So Admire did a great job of putting together a list of folks that we should be paying attention to. And so that's who we're going to be looking at today. I'm going to start pulling them up on screen. We'll talk about their names, what they do. Admire, in some cases, has some anecdotes because in some of these cases, she's actually been a patron or a customer of their services. And other ones she has featured on the Sierra Leoneans Killing It page. So this gives you a little bit more of a chance to kind of to look a little bit deeper into who these people are and what their businesses do beyond just the pictures you might have seen online. All right, cool. So with that, let's pull the first ones up. So the first page we're looking at is Nancy Styles by. And Meyer, do you want to give any background on Nancy and what she does and how you know her?
Yes. So Nancy Styles by is a braider based in Atlanta, Georgia. She is Sierra Leonean who is killing it positively in our community. She's done my hair several times and she does not braid tight at all. She's very professional. She's based literally in the city, like in Dunwoody, I believe. And yeah, she works with her daughter. They are a duo. And if you are in Atlanta or whenever you're in town, you guys definitely check her out. She does not braid tight, and you know that's a big deal when somebody don't braid tight because a lot of braiders braid tight. So definitely book with her, follow her, and support her. You
There we
guys.
go. And yeah, as you can see her page here, I mean, obviously she has really built a big brand for herself. She actually has a book as well that she's selling, I see here. And so here's her page. So if you haven't followed her before, you're in the Atlanta area, as you mentioned, and you need to get your hair done, Nancy is your person. All right, cool. So we can move on to the next one. So I think this is pronounced Sovula's Kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the Sierra Leonean chef living in the Bay Area. Um, do you have any insight into your background, having eaten Sovila's food, right?
Yes, I actually visited Oakland and Berkeley, Cali, and I met with him. He cooked for me, and it was so delicious. Like the food was so good, you guys. So flavorful, like chef's kiss. So good.
There
So
it
if you
is.
are in Cali, if you're in the area, the Bay Area, make sure you guys follow him. He does pop-ups. He I think he hosts like tasting parties and stuff. He has stuff going on and he posts whatever he has going on. So you guys definitely follow and support him.
There it is. So that's Savula's Kitchen. So again, if you haven't already followed, hit that follow button on Savula's Kitchen. We've already talked about Nancy. And so next is Haleandro.
Mm-hmm. Holly is a celebrity stylist, designer, um, creative director. He's a business owner. He sells these really dope pieces. Um, he has artists like Emerson, Drizzleek wearing his stuff. Like, if you don't have that jacket, you should go get one now. Or
Yeah,
one of
these
his
jackets are
jackets, because
fly.
all his pieces are dope.
They're actually really cool. I'm just looking through
Hmm.
these right now, like the different styles. The South Africa one is cool. You can see
Very,
what these pieces look like. This is pretty dope, actually.
very, yeah. So make sure you
Okay.
guys follow him and check out his website. Um, I'm 100% sure you will find something you like on his site.
Yeah, and I think like I'm looking at these jackets, right? And like some of these jackets are not my speed just because of my age and how I dress. But there are many other ones like this bomber jacket. I like this Sierra Leone bomber jacket right here. Like this, I could say like I think there's something for everybody, regardless of what your style
Yeah,
type is. Like I see a bunch of stuff for the younger generation, but this bomber jacket is cool too. This kind of jacket I think is cool too. So I think,
yeah.
yeah, if you just go through it, you can see there's a bunch of cool stuff here. So anyway,
Oh,
you can see
so
he's
he's
made different
also,
things for different countries.
sorry, he
Good.
makes different things like you're saying from different countries. Before I forget, he's hosting another fashion show. He has them every year. So this year is going to be November 10th, I believe. Make sure you guys, when you follow him, you'll see because he's going to be posting about it. Um, and if you can, pull up and support at his fashion show. I've also been to his fashion show. I went last year, and like the years I don't go previously, I would like buy a ticket and have him give it away just as a way of me supporting. So there's really no excuse. We have to come together and support each other, whether it's virtually or in person. So you guys pull up or buy a ticket for his fashion show.
Boom. There it is. There it is. I like the pictures too. Really dope stuff,
Yeah, he's very talented.
as you can see. Cool. So next we have Not Medusa, who I think was featured on Sierra Leoneans Killing It just recently. She's a writer and a culture romanticist in living in New York City, but she was recently featured on Sierra Leoneans Killing It, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, so she's a culture writer. It looks like as well. So yeah, you can check her out. I don't know if you have anything else to add, but this is her page here.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much said it all. Make sure you guys follow her. I think she was on BET at the BET Awards, or she wrote something.
Yeah, well, she's definitely there because I think you had it here. Yeah, she was at the.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So she's definitely Sierra Leonean and killing it. Make sure you guys follow her, support her.
There it is. All right. So next we have Lady Opal, um, who is an artist and but makes really cool jewelry, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, really, really nice jewelry. Every time I want to order her jewelry, it sells out. The ones I like, at least. But she's really, really talented. Based in based here in the States. Um, check her out, you guys. Follow her. I think her website is in her bio.
Yeah, shop.ladyopal.com.
Yes, make sure
The
you check
website
her
here.
pieces out.
So you can see a little bit more if you come here.
Mm-hmm.
Cool stuff though. All right, cool. So that's Lady Opal. So if you're not following her, go ahead and hit that follow button on her page. Then we have Samakai, photographer, right?
Mm-hmm. Based in London. He's shot many celebrities, U.S. and international. Uh,
He shot
from
LeBrum,
right.
which is
Um,
another Sierra Leonean.
and he's a part of this project for Arsenal. That's a really big deal. The fact that it was shot and everything was done in Sierra Leone, like that's a great accomplishment. So make sure
Absolutely.
you guys follow him and support him. He's really good with the pictures.
As you can see. And then because it was mentioned, LeBrum, who was a collaborator with this. So this is him here. He's also based in London,
He's
and
also
here's some
Sierra Leonean.
photos. Right. He's also, of course, yes. So he's Sierra Leonean, also based in London, and so they worked on this basically together. LeBrum, it styled the clothes, and then most of the photography it looks like was done by who we just
Sama.
previously featured, by Sama. Yeah. So this is
Yeah.
really cool to see our people on an
Mm-hmm.
international stage like this.
Right.
Fire. And then
Amazing
he has a
work.
shop, of course. Yeah. It's a
Make
big
sure you
deal.
guys follow
Really big
him.
deal.
If you aren't already, follow him. Follow Sama. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Whether you care or not, he was recognized by the King of England as well. King Charles. So he received the Queen Elizabeth Award, which is a big deal for a British design. They don't frivolously give away these awards. Now it's up to you to decide whether or not you care about the king and queen, former queen of England. But when they give out awards like this, it's very few and far between. So it is a big deal when our people, get recognized on this level, right? This is a huge deal. So definitely
Right.
check out LeBron. He's he has the events that he does, and you can follow what he's doing if you follow his page. But like really good stuff that he's up to for sure. Then we have Yasmin Saeed, a writer, actor, and a host.
Mm-hmm.
I know you featured her recently. She's a culture critic too. She does do some uh, reviews of
Like
TV shows
skits.
as well.
Does she do skits too?
It looks like she does do some skits from time to
Yeah.
time. It seems. Yes, she definitely does. Yes, she does. She does do skits. And her skits do really well. Look at the numbers on this thing.
Engagement.
Engagement's way up. So check her out. You guys can check it out for yourselves. But she definitely has some serious engagement on her skits. So, and she has quite the following. Obviously, there's a lot of people who have really taken a liking to what she does. And so, if you want to support her business, you can donate here at the link that she gave here in her bio.
Right. Make sure you guys follow and support her as well. I don't know who told me about her, but someone did, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love this.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the purpose of these live streams, right? Because for us, every once in a while, somebody will tell us something like, "Hey, have you checked out this person, or do you know about this person?" And we don't always know, right? And that's why we're doing this, so that when people bring people to our attention, we want to bring them to your attention as well. Because again, we're all here to try to support our people, right? And so, I'm glad to see that you guys are here to help support as well. So
Right.
Israel says hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How can I get on your platform? Well, you can, if you want to talk about your business, what is your business? Let us know what your business is, and we can bring you on to discuss it. Um, Let me see if I can shoot you through the link so that we can invite you on. But first, just tell us what your business is, what you do in the chat, and then we'll work to see if we can add you to the live stream.
Right.
I just sent the link across all platforms, so we'll decide who to bring on. You just let us know what your business is, what you do in the chat, and we'll determine if we can bring you on. So I think the business is called N Designs. So yeah, let's if you want to come on and give us a little bit about what you do, we can add you. And then lastly, in terms of the people who we were gonna kind of walk through and talk about today, we see that Drizzlick announces a concert in London on November 15th, and it's his first concert there since 2019. Wow, I haven't realized it's been that long. And he was I guess a breakout star at the Freetown's Music Festival revival. Freetown's Music Revival, sorry. So he's returning to London. It says here it was his first time there since 2019. So he'll be headlining the Clapham Grand in South London. So cool. So that's that. So Nema Israel makes natural juices and was asking for us to shout them out. So you have to send us your Instagram handle so that we can actually put it up on the screen. I mean, I could try to search for it now.
But yeah, if you are in London, pull up and support our very own talented Drizzleek, November 15th. If you're in the area,
in South London,
get your tickets.
Yeah, so you get your tickets at his website, drizzlick.com. And so you'll be able to you'll be able to catch him live. I've seen him perform live a couple of times. You know, my favorite song from Drizzlick is Exodus. I don't know if you guys know that song, but
I like Exodus, but I like This Is Sierra Leone.
Okay, fair. The This Is America remake, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was great too. That was really good. It was a remake of the This Is America by Childish Gambino. He did This Is Sierra Leone.
Yeah.
So I wanted to find the juices business, but I got just your actual page. So we need the juices page to show the natural juices. But in the meantime, here's Drizzlick's event. You guys can sign up for it. Sweet Salon also has information on it as well. So maybe I could put that on screen now so we can see it. Oh, wow. Big banner at the top.
Right.
So it's actually a pretty dope banner. I like that. So here's all the information. Creole fusion music. I like that it's Creole fusion. I like that instead of Afro fusion, Creole fusion, because he likes Creole in his music. Very rarely do we have our Sierra Leoneans speaking Creole in our music, and so that's something I like to shout out.
Yeah, I like that too. That's
It's a big
Speaking
deal.
of Sweet Salon, Vicky Remo is having an event in October in the DMV.
Yes.
Let me pull it up.
Yeah, she is. I'm sure it's probably on the homepage somewhere. I don't know how to get to it though.
If you are in the DMV area, pull up, get a ticket. If you can't make it, she has virtual tickets as well. Um, you can support by buying a virtual ticket. You can support by
Yes.
sharing her events. You know,
Yes. So yeah,
UEI.
that's yeah. So just to you know,
Let we support we own.
yeah.
So
Let me go to her page real quick. I'm sure there's a link to the event somewhere. Maybe it's on the website. Maybe it's on the Vicky Remo website. Well, in any case, you know that the event's coming up. You can go to her page. She will make sure she updates you all as it's coming. So just follow Vicky on her IG. I'm sure many of you who are watching probably already do follow her anyway. Um, but yeah, the event is coming soon, and yeah, I'm pretty sure she promoted it here. I don't know where I last saw it, but maybe it was. Oh, here's it. The conference. Here we go. Yeah, the diaspora conference. Here we go. There we go. Sierra Leone Diaspora Investment Conference 2024. So it's going to be on October 19th at the DoubleTree in Gaithersburg, Maryland. So this is the link here. You go to her page. It's in the stories right there. But she has some footage from the previous one. So you have the recap from 2023. You get an idea of like what the investment conference was all about. There's panels. There's some people you might recognize that I might have interviewed. Like we have Doris here, who I interviewed previously. If I remember, we have Joe from Afro Americ slash Ofino Naturals, who I've also featured on the platform as well on Authentic African. So a few people you guys might recognize um, who um, who were at last year's conference, who will likely be attending this year as well. So this is what the schedule looks like. So if you're at all curious about what it looks like, it's a one-day event, and it's from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. There it is. So that is the event there. So anything else we want to talk about? I mean, people are starting to join now. We got some new people are joining on. So if you guys haven't already, go back and watch the beginning of this live stream where
right.
we went through a couple of different folks that we recommend you check out, Sierra Leoneans that are positively killing it in our community. As you know, Admire put it, we're using this time every so often to highlight Sierra Leoneans that are doing things that we feel like should be highlighted. People that are brought to our attention by other folks, people that are featured on the Sierra Leoneans Killing It page. These are all folks that we want to make sure that we're all supporting as part of this process as we try to help the diaspora and Sierra Leoneans prosper on the ground there in country.
Right.
It's a short live stream. I mean, we're just under 30 minutes. I don't know if you have any final words. Do you have anything else, Maya?
You said final words. Are we gonna cut the line?
Well, do we have anyone else to go through?
Um, I just remembered one person, Royal
Okay.
Dynamite. That's their Instagram. I believe he sells like merchandise.
Okay.
Royal Dynamite.
Okay. Let me look him up and share him on screen. Um, Royal
Dynamite.
Dynamite. Okay, here we go. I think I see him here. Yes, I'm pretty sure this is it. So let me go ahead and share the screen again. This is him, right?
Yes.
An Afropolitan movement, Africa to the world.
So he used to sell like hats, and I don't know if he still sells it, but that just came to my head. And what else?
Yeah, so Royal Dynamite. So yeah, check him out. Follow him if you're not currently following. You know, I follow all the Sierra Leoneans. Once they come to my attention, I hit that follow button. So
Um, did we go over all the people on the list?
we did. We did.
That's good.
That was the full list. We went through them pretty quickly. That's what that was. We didn't spend too much time on each one. So we can keep going to fill up the hour if you want to talk about some African news as well. There's some African news that we could potentially talk about if you want to talk about it, or if there
That's
are other
fine.
folks.
What's going on? Let's hear it.
All right. So okay. So let me go into the because I did not have it ready. So you guys know I follow Sierra Loaded. You know, so that's one of the pages that I follow pretty frequently. And they have all the news that's happening in Sierra Leone. Really big community of like thousands and thousands of people. There was some news stories. Oh, yes, there was some news stories coming out of the investment conference. I just saw the notification, but China actually has agreed to over $50 million in investments with Sierra Leone in particular.
Wow.
Yeah, so
That's a lot.
that's a lot of money, right?
That is.
And you know that is, but that is how it goes. And then there was another news story. So you guys, we've talked about this previously. When I was living in Sierra Leone, and Meyer and I had a live stream while I was living there, and we talked about the water challenge at Guma Valley and what the needs were there. And I thought it might be important to kind of give you guys an update since there have been a lot of questions on water. So I think at the time that I had spoken about the water challenges, I said there was about $1 billion needed in order to have sustainable energy, sustainable water. That was from a report that was done in 2021. And so as of September 8th, which is today, Guma Valley says they need $3.6 billion
Oh, wow.
to supply sustainable water to Freetown. So the Guma Valley Water Company has announced they need $3.6 billion to ensure a sustainable water supply to the capital city, Freetown. Production manager Mohamed Koroma made the announcement during a conference held in Waterloo. He highlighted the urgency of the situation, citing a 6-year master plan that outlines the critical needs for this investment. Despite recent support from China, including a new hydro dam facility, the company faces significant challenges in meeting the growing demands of the city. One major concern is that the contamination of water sources, such as Charlotte's waterfall, due to human waste and other pollutants. So this has faced the company to cease using the waterfall for public supply, impacting communities like Allentown. While the government has allocated $6 million versus $3.6 billion, just to be clear, to improve the water system in Allentown, the supply remains limited, and many residents continue to suffer from water shortages. Koroma warned that these issues will persist until 2026, unless urgent action is taken to address environmental concerns and invest in new infrastructure. They do plan to construct 10 new dams within Freetown to improve water supply, but these projects will require sustainable funding or substantial funding and adequate electricity. That's the other challenge. It requires adequate electricity. So additionally, the company identified several areas of high risk of disasters that could disrupt water operations. So these concerns were echoed by a committee in Waterloo as well. So so that's that on the water supply. 3.6 billion. Love to hear your thoughts on that.
It went up. Like the money, that's a lot of money.
Yes.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean 3.6 billion, you know, 50 million in general was an investment that China was planning to do across a multitude of sectors. That's million. These guys said they need 3.6 billion. That is an aggressive amount of money. And I don't know where that money would come from.
Yeah.
You know, that is going to be a challenge to overcome. So yeah, I mean, that's just a crazy number. I wasn't anticipating that number, but that was just in. Like that just happened. So yeah, I thought that was interesting to share. There was another news story. So I'm trying to find, there was another news story that recently came out and that I needed to share with you guys, but now I can't seem to find it. Okay, so here we go. Here's the story in the China China visit. So I don't know if you guys remember, but last week, a bunch of African leaders went to China to meet with Xi Jinping, the president, leader, ruler of the CCP, the communist, the Chinese Communist Party. They have a single party system. I don't know if you guys know this, but he is the ruler of that party for life. And so he'll probably be in this role as like president forever. So as many as our African presidents come in and out from time to time, depending on the country, Xi Jinping will always be the one. And so in this case, President Bio went and met with Xi Jinping, as you can see here. And they had a high-level agreements during the 2024 forum, where Sierra Leone's president, Dr. Julius Maada Bio, secured multiple deals aimed at bolstering the country's economy. Among most significant announcements was and I said 50 million, and that is on me. It was $50 billion financial pledge from Chinese President Xi Jinping to support African countries. Oh, that was, 50 billion to support African countries over the next 50 years, a substantial increase from the previous summit in Dakar. The financial commitment highlights China's growing influence on the African continent, providing an additional USD 20 billion over the previous pledge. Key agreements signed with Sierra Leone are the following. That was, okay, so I was right. It was 50 billion to Africa in general, 50 million to the Smart Sierra Leone project. So the government of Sierra Leone, or GOSL, signed a $50 million agreement with China to support Smart Sierra Leone project, which aims to enhance the country's digital transformation. This project is expected to improve public administration, e-governance, and digital services, positioning Sierra Leone as a leader in digital innovation in the region. Why is this important? I don't know how many of you have attempted to renew your passport, sign up for a business, any of these things that you try to do online. It is very difficult to do. Many cases, it's incredibly hard to find websites that have all these details, or there aren't websites available. For example, when I went to get my national ID, the steps required for me to get my national ID was printed out on a piece of paper at the office where I got the national ID. I couldn't find it anywhere else. So I took a picture of it. So I had a digital version. That's the digital version I have. So I forwarded that around to different people who were planning to get their national ID, so they knew what steps were required. A couple things. Real Source says AAA gave a breakdown of the Chinese investment plan. I find the whole thing calls for concern. That is, you are not alone in these kinds of thought processes. There's a lot of people who are concerned about China's overarching influence in Africa. But there are different sides to it, right? Some people take the approach, Africans should say the enemies of my enemies are my friend. And so some people will say the United States, they would consider them an enemy. And so they say if Russia or China is an enemy, then that makes them their friend. I think no one's an enemy, in my opinion, just in my own personal opinion. I'm speaking for me, Joe Hatagwa, founder and CEO of Authentic African. I see all of these folks as people who care about themselves, right? And so they're going to do everything in their own country's best interest. And I think as African countries, we need to make deals in our own country's best interest, not leaders' best interest. And I also think it makes sense to do multinational deals. It would make sense for Sierra Leone, Liberia, the Mano River Group, whatever that looks like, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Guinea, to work together to get deals with China.
I agree.
Doing it alone, because you can get better terms. You just get more out of it if you do that. You see that happened with Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. They came together and formed a confederation, and now all of their negotiations with France, etc., is now at a much more of a bigger position of power, because you now have gold, uranium, and oil. All three of those countries now can have much better negotiating power. I talked a lot there. Any thoughts on what I just said? I know you said
I agree with you 1,000%. And I love what Niger, Burkina Faso, and the other country, what they did. Mali, yeah. I wish the other countries can do the same, because that's what we need to do: come together and work together and stick together. So I agree with you 1,000%. Yes, unity is key for sure.
Absolutely. A Slime Tube asks a great question. Has a Chinese leader ever paid a visit to any African countries? No. Xi Jinping does not intend on visiting, for a couple of different reasons. You know, Xi Jinping, for his own safety, I think he doesn't travel too much outside of like China, to be honest. He just wants to ensure that he is 100% safe. So no, he hasn't, but he has sent delegations to the continent of Africa. But Joe Biden himself hadn't visited Africa while president either. Kamala Harris did. By the way, neither did Donald Trump when he was president. He did not visit the continent of Africa either. Many world leaders do not visit Africa. They require African leaders to come visit them. But I will say this. President Bill met with Xi Jinping when he went to China. A lot of times when he comes to the United States, he doesn't always meet with the president of the United States. Usually it's Anthony Blinken, in this case, under this current administration, who is the Secretary of State. Generally, they meet with the Secretary of State. Smaller African countries don't usually get a chance to meet with presidents. And that is one of the major differences between the East and the West. What you'll notice is that Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping will meet with all presidents of Africa, not just Kenya or the hot topic companies like Egypt. They will, or South Africa, they will meet with all of the African leaders. Now, they may require them to come to their country, but they will still meet with them. The United States hasn't done that. France meets with some of their leaders, but they don't always. So not to say that anyone's better than the other, but you can imagine how these leaders are thinking when they're making deals with folks, right?
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So the Real Source says, yes, so true. Working individually is definitely not the move. Ace Lime 2 says, end of the day, I don't care who is trying to court us. We should always approach with the attitude of buyer beware. Yes, or seller beware in this case, or loaner beware, because it's not even sales, it's loans. We're always taking loans from folks, right? Either we got our hands out for a grant or a gift, or we're taking loans. And so, yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. I think as African countries, we do need to do a better job of intra-continental trade. And then, and also to bolster up our stance on the world stage, working together as we've just recently described. All right, so I want to get back into some more of the things that came out of this summit in China. So there was also next the Digital Village Project. In a move to merge agriculture with technology, the government of Sierra Leone also inked a deal with the Digital Village Project. This initiative will be rolled out in Tormabom, a key agricultural hub, and will use advanced digital tools to improve agricultural productivity. So the project promises to boost food security and create more efficient farming techniques by linking local farmers with technological resources. That is one of the biggest issues in Sierra Leone right now, is that we have land that we can farm, but we don't have enough technology to meet today's needs, or always necessarily the knowledge to meet today's growing needs. And so we end up importing a lot more than necessary. You guys might remember last year on my platform, I discussed that yabas issue or onions issue, where because the onions were imported from Guinea and there was some kind of border disputes happening between Guinea and Sierra Leone, the price of onions skyrocketed. So something so random as a border dispute, whatever was happening between the two countries, I don't know what was actually happening. Mm-hmm. That part wasn't made aware to the regular people and wasn't really reported on. What was reported was that onion prices went through the roof, and we should be growing our own onions in Sierra Leone, right? And so hopefully this Digital Village Project does improve farming in Sierra Leone. Now, here's where I think China really gets excited. The third one is the expansion of the mining sector. This is really why China is doing business with Sierra Leone. This piece right here. And the thing is, France, England, they have done a good job of exporting natural resources out of the continent. China has been getting their hands in it now. The U.S. has been trying to figure it out, but U.S. is doing it through like oil, like Shell and Exxon, oil companies from the United States. I think they're both U.S. companies, are based all over the continent of Africa and drilling and drilling oil. But in other sectors like mining, Sierra Leone's mining sector received a major boost of Mineral Wealth Fund Sierra Leone Limited, signed a landmark framework agreement to expand mining operations, particularly targeting vast iron ore deposits. The agreement outlines plans for significant infrastructure investment with potential to create thousands of jobs, attract further foreign investment into the sector. And then there was a fishery certification breakthrough. After a 14-year wait, Sierra Leone was granted an international fish export certificate by the Chinese government. This certification is expected to have a transformative impact on Sierra Leone's fishing industry, opening the doors for international fish exports and increasing the country's revenue from the sector. I will say there's a lot of fishing happening today that is considered illegal in Sierra Leone. There's been a lot of conversations about that. Areas that aren't supposed to be fished are being fished. And I've been told by Chinese private companies. I don't have all the details on that. I'd love to try to get an expert to come on to talk about that more, but it's something that has been out there in the ether, and it's a known thing. But I know I jumped into the fisheries certification. I wanted to get your thoughts on this mining, the expansion of mining. What'd you think about that?
Before you said that, I was gonna ask, what is China like? What does China want in exchange to be doing business with Sierra Leone? And you answered it already, mining. There has to be something that they want.
Yeah, so Sierra Leone is a big producer of iron ore under our ground. First of all, the continent of Africa is obviously rich in natural resources. Most people only think about oil, gold, and diamonds. And although those are all resources that the world utilizes, uranium is a big, most of the uranium that is used for around the world comes from Africa. And that's used for a lot of the the nuclear programs that are out there. It requires uranium, and so uranium comes from Africa. Cobalt also comes from the Congo, right? Cobalt and coltan are both used in every kind of battery that you could possibly think of. Lithium ion batteries are in everything, and every product you use. The products we're speaking on right now, the headphones in my ears, the devices that you utilize, all of them, most of the materials come from Africa. Most other countries around the world, besides like Latin America does have a lot of materials, but almost everywhere else doesn't really have that kind of stuff underground, under its ground. Most of it has to be imported from the continent of Africa. And so Sierra Leone is rich in iron ore. It was a big industry for a while, 2014, 15, 16. I don't know what happened there where it didn't continue to be such a big one, but it looks like China is expanding with this particular country, the Mineral Wealth Fund SL Limited, and they will be continuing through an investment there to extract more iron ore for their buildings that they're doing around the world and around the continent of Africa. So, so I did want to mention that, and then the fisheries I mentioned as well. And then there's two other pieces: increased development assistance. In the further show of support, the Chinese government pledged to increase its development assistance in Sierra Leone this year, committing to an additional 200 million Chinese yuan. These funds are expected to support a range of development projects, including education, health, and infrastructure, significantly bolstering the country's growth prospects. Now, what is 200 million yuan? Let's see, because I don't know what that is in dollars. That is 28 million US dollars. So they've basically said they're going to give $28 million to work on development assistance. Now, the reason why they're doing it in UN is, you guys might remember, the Chinese are beginning to move away from using US dollars as a way that people owe them money. So what used to have to happen was this: to do business between Sierra Leone and China, Sierra Leone would have to figure out the rate of the dollar to Leones, and then China would have to figure out the rate of the yuan to the dollar, and then that is how they would do business together, right? So they would do business in dollars. Now, what China has done, not just with Sierra Leone, with other folks, is they're removing the dollar as the go-between. And they're just saying, the UN and the Leones, here's how we're going to work on this. And so it looks like in one of their first moves in their conversations with Sierra Leone is they've actually put this investment in UN instead of in dollars, which is interesting because usually everything is in dollars. So they're making those small moves. Any thoughts on that? And the BRICS system too is something that people have been talking about a lot as well. Any thoughts on this increased development assistance?
I did hear about that, like them trying to get away from using the dollar. So, but I don't have no thoughts.
Okay. And then the strengthened partnership, of course, President Biyo's visit to China and the agreement signed in 2024. The summit underscores the deepening ties between Sierra Leone and China as China continues to invest heavily in Africa's economic future. Sierra Leone stands to benefit from strengthened cooperation across key sectors, including technology, agriculture, mining, and infrastructure. So that was the other event that I wanted to share with you guys. I thought it was really important to kind of talk that through. As you know, these things are starting to take shape. There were some other thoughts from some folks. Ace Lime 2 says this. These are the thoughts of Ace Lime Tube and themselves alone. I will not say these are my thoughts or Admire's thoughts. Whether we agree or not with anybody's comments, we are just going to post their comments. We give you guys the opportunities to speak. But this is particularly Ace Lime's thoughts. So the one thing the current government does, they say they talk the talk and they say they don't walk the walk. They say they're selling fertilizers that are not supposed to be for sale. That's an interesting thought process. You know that world better than I do. The real source said SL should learn from other African countries' experiences with China. Zambia, for example, has had significant negative labor outcomes with specific regards to the mining industry. Yeah, so one thing I will say is the Chinese aren't known for their labor laws and their labor standards. All right. For those of you who aren't aware of this, there's a company called Foxconn. Look it up whenever you get a chance. Foxconn creates a lot of what goes into iPhones. The Foxconn, what they had to do is they had to put, you know, when you go to the circus and people do the tightrope and they have the net under them.
Mm-hmm.
So like when they fall, they don't fall to their impending doom.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Foxconn put that outside of their windows because the working conditions were so harsh. At one point in time, people were jumping out the windows.
Oh,
Wow. And so that is just a fact. And so they're not known for their great labor conditions in their workforce. I mean, there's a reason why America and American businesses outsource many of their product production to China, because there's such poor working conditions and they pay them so little. It is cheaper for them to export materials, import those materials, and sell them to Americans than to pay Americans a minimum wage to work in a factory to make those same things. So that's how little Chinese people pay, or the Chinese companies pay their employees, right? The concept of a minimum wage and all those kinds of things, I'm not really sure apply in the same way they do in the United States. And so what you have is a much cheaper workforce who are worked harder and under different labor laws. You know, we have unions in America, right? And some companies are trying to stop unions, but these unions collectively make sure you have holidays like Labor Day or Martin Luther King or Memorial Day. They also make sure that means you get like time off and vacation and sick leave. That stuff comes out of unions. They don't have that in China, right? So when they're working around the clock, different kinds of labor laws, and that means they are able to produce at a much faster rate and much cheaper than what it would cost to be able to do that in the United States. So many American companies throughout the 90s to 2000s until present day have been outsourcing their labor to China for that reason. And so, so when the Chinese bring those same workforces, or at least those same ideologies, to the continent of Africa, they now are putting Africans under those same kind of working conditions. So it's important to know that. I mean, so that is a good point.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know, that's one of the things I think that people are very unclear on, and so those people who are so excited about having China as a partner, they also have to take into consideration that element as well. So yeah, that was the other main story. I don't know if there were any other stories. I went into detail on that one. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. Let's see if there's anything else that there is to talk about.
And thank you guys for those that have been like engaging with us. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Saya.
I'm tired, but we appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for engaging. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you guys. All right. So we are almost at an hour today. We did go all the way through.
Yay.
Which is great, because it was at 30 minutes. And Maya, you mentioned you didn't want to end it too early, and that was a good idea. So we go through some news stories, and I think we were able to share some good information for some folks. So what I would also mention, guys, is just a quick shout out for myself. Well, actually, there's a couple more things before we do that. So Naima says, so then you understand if they do come to Africa, they would treat the workers the same way. They already do. Yes. So yeah, they already do. Ace Lime Tube says, thanks for doing this, guys. Of course, we always want to do what we can to share the information that we can with folks. The Real Source says something else. The Chinese also tend to maintain their own management positions. Africans are not typically in leaderships in these partnerships. That is also true. What you'll find is the line level workers are almost always African. The managers are going to be Chinese. So you'll see some of the if you go to the casinos on Lumley Beach Road in Freetown, or even if you see the workers, like the road on the way to Regent and going out to like Gloucester, Regent, all those like neighboring villages. What I noticed is when that road was being built, I remember seeing the Africans doing the manual labor, and you saw the Chinese folks as management kind of walking back and forth and just making sure those folks were doing the work. So you're
Oh,
absolutely
wow.
right. And if you go to some of those restaurants, you'll see the same thing. The restaurants on Lumley Beach, the senior leadership is almost always going to be Chinese. And yes, there was a question about, this was a good question. Did you ever consider bringing Black Americans with tech knowledge to Sierra Leone to help? So there's been all kinds of conversations about this in different ways. This requires kind of like a coalition of folks to work on doing something like this. There's a gentleman who actually currently works at Google that I met, who just got his Sierra Leonean citizenship, and so he's looking to do something like that. I will see if I can get him on and highlight him at a different date when we have these kinds of conversations, because it'll be interesting to hear his thought process. And I'd love to also see if we could interview folks who've gotten their Sierra Leonean citizenship that were Black Americans, who've gone and gotten their citizenship and what they intend to do with it.
That would be a great idea for like people in the tech
Oh yeah,
industry to meet up in Sierra Leone and talk about all things tech.
absolutely, absolutely. I think so. Um, so yeah, so Namaya is saying, then look at Black Americans, they can provide money, skills, etc. Yeah, I think they should. I think they should. Yeah, that is definitely for someone who wants to work on that, or if the government of Sierra Leone wants to do that. Yeah, the goal here is to kind of share that information for those folks who want to do this, right? I am not the person that will be bringing coalitions to Sierra Leone in that way. I will advise folks who want to get their citizenship and move, but to deal with those kinds of coalitions has to be a passion, and it requires someone who really wants to get involved and do that. So Namaya, if you're interested in that, I'd love to talk to you more and point you in the right direction. If you want to start really focusing on this, that'd be really good. If you want to get involved in that, for sure. So I think we've now hit the hour mark. I think we could probably do some wrap ups and maybe do a little bit of where you can find us. Do you have any shout outs for anything you got going on in Maya? Anything you want to tell people to look out for on your side?
Yes. If you are in Houston and you want braids, I am the girl to book for your braids. I do cornrows, box braids, knotless braids, bohemian or gypsy braids. You can find my work on Instagram, Admire Your Beauty Salon. So I also have my booking link on that page as well. If you have any questions, concerns, you can text me or you can DM that page, Admire Your Beauty Salon. And yeah, all you need to know is on the page, all the services I provide. Everything I do is on there concerning braids and hair. Yes, ma'am. I mean, yes, sir.
There it all is. So if she just talked you through it. You now see it on your screen. Book, 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 book. All right.
Book your
So
appointment.
yes, absolutely. And so I also want to mention that we I went live with an interview with Jay Cameron on Tuesday of last week, and he talked about how he's brought over 600 Black Americans to Africa. A really, really dope interview, and that was at the time of this interview. It's over 1,000 now, and he's been doing this for 3 years. So he's brought over 1,000 people in just 3 years, which is an incredible feat. He has these trips all over the continent of Africa. He does trips to also European and Latin American countries, but he connects you to the Black groups and the Africans that are living there and that connection back to Africa. So he's planning trips to like Italy and Spain and the UK, but separately to Colombia and to Brazil, and to kind of show you that the diaspora Black folks have that connection back to the homeland and what that connection is. And so he's not just doing trips around Africa, but he's doing trips around the world. And so the video is on my YouTube channel. You can check it out to see that interview. And then if you want to see what one of those trips look like, you can check out my live stream, not the live stream, sorry, the video I just did where I just take you through the vlog, my 10-day vlog to Sierra Leone, to Tanzania. Sorry. It was called the East African Adventure to Tanzania. So definitely check this out if you haven't gotten a chance to. There's plenty of more content coming from that, but I just wanted to shout that out really quickly. So yeah, so just go to Authentic African on YouTube, Instagram, everywhere. You'll see it all there. Yeah. Oh, so they're asking for the name of that person. His name is Jay Cameron, but just go to Authentic African YouTube channel. You'll find all the information there. I did the interview. You'll find it on my channel. It's one of the most recent videos. I took a couple of clips from it and posted those, but just go to the page. You'll find all the information there. You definitely want to watch that interview. I think it's probably one of the more in-depth interviews with him. I mean, we've covered a wide range of things, everything from why he decided to go to Africa for the first time, what his experience was. And his first trip had 35 people. And so, he's been bringing people ever since.
That's amazing.
Yeah, Saidu Kanu says, always good to see your videos on topics of development in Sierra Leone. Well, thank you for joining. We appreciate you coming along for the ride, for sure. All right, cool. Well, we are at time, guys. So just check back in. We will be notifying you of the next live stream when the time comes. But in the meantime, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to Sierra Leoneans Killing It on YouTube. You follow Sierra Leoneans Killing It on Instagram if you're not already. Follow Authentic African on YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, X, and Facebook and Threads if you haven't already. Make sure you check us out there. And with that, thanks for watching. We'll see you all on the next video. Bye, guys.
See y'all. Bye.